Well, hello everybody. We find ourselves in a very different ANZAC Day this year in 2020, celebrating and reflecting on what ANZAC Day means to us. Of course, this year we're locked away in isolation, much like they were in 1919 from the Spanish flu. So there is a bit of similarity there, I guess, from the returning soldiers to us now being locked down, although we've got far greater medical experience and things at our disposal. I've got with me Bruce Wright, who was a historian of note from Tumbarumba, councillor with us, and Bruce is going to recount some of his experiences on the Kokoda trial and the very valuable experiences he's given to the young people of Tumbarumba in guiding them across the trail over many years. So I might ask Bruce to just tell us a little bit about what they do there and his experiences and his reflection on ANZAC Day this year, and also about the personal experiences he's got from his family. Bruce.
Thanks, James. Well, I'll start off with my personal experience because my dad, he was a Second World War vet. He was fought on the Kokoda Trail and then at Shaggy Ridge, and he was on the landing of Balikpapan on Borneo. So he had prior to that, he was in Palestine and Egypt. So he had a very varied war record. He was in 7th Division Signals Headquarters. So he saw a lot of action. I first started walking the Kokoda Trail in a bit of remembrance from him. Dad died in 1990, so it was a long time ago. And we came up with the idea of taking the kids over there, of course, to help them understand a bit about some of the hardships our forefathers went through, and to understand a bit about why we live in the best country in the world, which is being proven at the moment with this virus going around. But so some of the photographs I've got there is one in particular of us at Naro, and it's a little village. Absolutely wonderful backdrop there, back down towards Manari and the Brown River. And we have a ANZAC Day service there. Mostly, we've had a couple there now. And we get the young people to run that ANZAC Day service themselves. Grant does a great job in preparing an order of service, and then the young people conduct it. And it's always a very moving ceremony, particularly for me, because I know my father was in that village in 1942. So yeah, it's pretty poignant time for me. We also always spend a fair bit of time at the Bomana War Cemetery, and there's some photographs of the Bomana War Cemetery there. Very poignant place for me and for most Australians. Beautifully maintained. We always go and try and find some headstones of people who are connected to Tumbarumba men, and it's really moving to see such a waste of so many good young lives.
Thanks, Bruce. And look, I might sort of give you a little bit of background on my grandfather, who I never knew. He died before I was born, probably contributing result of being gassed in the First World War. Now, he joined up in 1915. He was my maternal grandfather, came from Goulburn, joined up in 1915. He's in the 7th Reinforcements of the 2nd Battalion. His number was 2365. And he landed in Gallipoli after the April 25th. He came later, and by all accounts, he was in one of the last boats off Gallipoli. He then went spent some time in Egypt, and then went to the Western Front, and was in places like Pozières and probably up in Belgium. Spent a lot of time in hospital. And eventually ended up in the light mortar battalion, I think, and that's what he was doing. Came back in mid 1919, so it took quite a while, but spent a lot of time in Bethnal Green Hospital in the UK, and probably never fully recovered his health after the war, and died reasonably young. But I remember spending a lot of time with my grandmother when I was quite young, who lived in Linfield, and walking up past where Bean lived, and she'd tell me stories about what her husband said. Unfortunately, the only photograph I've got of him in uniform is one taken in a small village in France that's we found in the War Memorial, and it's a village called Flesselles, and there is no studio portrait or anything from him. He's got nothing like that. I do have his medals, and I have them here. Apart from that, just memories for what people have told me. So
I think that's a lot of how it is. You know, like Colleen's got this beautiful photograph of her three great uncles, and they were in France, and one of them was killed. He was blown to bits. They couldn't find his body, and one of the others had his leg removed, and came back with missing a leg, and the other one was gassed. And the two that came home never married. They were damaged men, probably in more ways than we really understand, or we're only just starting to understand now, I think.
Yes.
Really sad times.
It is. And look, and just like Tumbarumba High School and the Rotary Club take the children to Kokoda, Chimit High School, and they should have been there now. Right now, they should have been in Belgium, and going to Passchendaele or one of the cemeteries for an Anzac Day ceremony. But of course, that was unfortunately cancelled. Chimit High School's been doing that since 2003, and you know we've taken over 300 students to the Western Front, and they've seen lots of things there. We had a very special relationship with the College Jacques Brel in Vieux-Bretonneux, and I know some of the students who billeted there still remain in contact, and that school had been out here a couple of times and billeted with Chimit High School. So these are the strong bonds that we have, and when the students go over there and the teachers go over there, they lay crosses and wreaths on those graves. And I'm sending in a few photographs to be attached to this that will show some of those scenes.
One of the really poignant memories I have of Bamana War Cemetery was when Colleen and I first walked the track in 1999. One of our carriers and leader, he read out to us a poem called Fuzzy Wuzzy Angels, and if you ever want to read a really poignant poem, that's fantastic. And I still, whenever I go there, I think of him just sitting there reading it out to us. It was quite special.
Well, maybe it's something we could attach. If we get a copy of it, we could attach to this a link.
Yeah, I could get that. I can get that easily. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Look, talking about poignant moments, I remember being at there is a dawn service at Vieux-Bretonneux, and I went to the one in 2007 and 2008. I don't think I've ever been colder. But following that, on the Saturday following Anzac Day, the French have their own ceremony, and they have it at a much better hour. They have it at 10 o'clock, I think. But I remember seeing this old French soldier, and I have a photograph of it, dabbing tears from his eyes, and I'll send that photo in, and maybe it's something we could use. And also another one of a small French boy holding an Australian flag. Really, really moving images.
And one of the photographs you'll see on my lot is of one of Bede Tong's, or Captain Bede Tong's, MM. He was Second World War vet. He was awarded military medal for an action he took place at Eora Creek on the Kokoda track. And old Bede used to come and visit us in Tumbarumba and talk to our kids who were doing the track or had just come back from the track. Every year, he was just such a wonderful old man. And he'd love coming to Tumbarumba to our dawn service, because he always said, "Oh, you Tumbarumba blokes are real people," you know, like, and he just loved it. He lived in Canberra, and you would have thought he would have been more interested in the Canberra dawn service, but liked the country ones better. And there's a nice photograph of him there. Fantastic. The other things I really love about the ANZAC Day is the get together with the veterans who are still surviving, and our now Vietnam veterans and Afghan veterans coming to our dawn service. And of course, I enjoy having a coffee with a rum in it at the afterwards. So tomorrow morning I'll sit on my veranda and look out over the Tumba, and I'll listen to a bit of music, and I'll have a rum and coffee, just as a poignant remember. I remember going to dawn services with my father from since I remember. I don't know how old I was. I was very, very, very young, and even then I was allowed to have a little sip of coffee. It was only a bit in the bottom of a cup, but it had a bit of rum, and I thought it was so special.
It is a special day, and look, I ask everybody involved to go to the end of their driveway at 6 a.m. if they choose to, but just spend a little bit of time reflecting. And I wish everybody a safe day, and hopefully we'll come out of this virus, and next year we'll be able to have a bigger and better ANZAC Day.
Exactly.
Lest we forget.
Yeah, we look forward to it.
Thank you, everybody. And
thank you, everybody.